Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? That's a great question, Candace. Hi guys, my name is Lucas. This is my first time doing a video in this format. If you don't already know me, I'm an influencer. I do OnlyFans. I'm an ex-conservative. I'm queer. I'm a musician. I do basically everything under the sun. Whatever life throws at me, I turn it into lemonade. I've been seeing a lot of trans discourse on my timeline recently on TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube, and discourse meaning I haven't really seen a lot of people defending trans people. It seems like the conservatives are really just up in a riot after this Dylan Mulvaney music video. For some reason, I don't know why this issue is the one that conservatives seem to be focused on, but then again, I'm not really surprised because conservatives, well, I don't want to make blatant statements because that's kind of what they're doing to trans people. So
Let's start talking about blackface.
what does blackface have to do with being trans? You know what? Let's just...
Right? That is something that we all understand to have been a historic wrong. Just in case you don't know the backstory there, and I am right now showing you what was a poster promoting the comedic event of a minstrel show, that began back.
So I think that what Candace is trying to do right now is... Oh my God, I just spilled the coffee on myself. I think what Candace is trying to do right now is she's trying to straw man an argument and compare people doing blackface to trans people. Let's see if she goes in that direction. Let's see if she compares blackface to a sexual orientation. Let's see. Please, Candace, please tell me you're not doing this. Candace, please. Please. I used to watch you, Candace. I was also a little bit dumber back then.
In the 1830s in New York City, essentially they were comedic performances of blackness by white people. They would wear these exaggerated costumes, tattered clothing, and they would stereotype blacks as being ignorant, hypersexual, as being cowards, and people loved it. People were like,
wait, she's gonna claim drag is that? Hold on.
this is so funny. This is amazing. It's really funny when white people wear a blackface and act like black people. Now, I can imagine if I was sitting in the audience as a black person, which I would not have been in the 1830s, obviously, but I just imagine if I was allowed to sit there and somebody did that, of course, I would be extremely offended by those stereotypes. But it would be even crazier if people got up and were like, you don't have a right to be offended by it. In fact, you are white phobic, and started saying I was the problem for not enjoying this stereotype and this performance. Why am I saying that? Because we're essentially doing that today when it comes to transgenderism.
I told you! Candace, seriously? Candace, comparing the trans experience to the black experience is like comparing apples to oranges. They're completely different and unique. Comparing trans people to blackface? Like, girl, you gotta be joking, right? Like...
I mean, I would say, by the way, regarding blackface, we so agree that it's wrong that we've overcorrected it, right? Now, kids that are just trying to go dressed up as like Moana or Pocahontas to Halloween are being called racist, which I think is ridiculous.
So I think what Candace is trying to do right there is she's trying to cater to her white audience. Right there with that, I'm just gonna call it out as it is. She's trying to cater to her white conservative audience.
But we have this other issue that we should maybe give some of our energy to. And it isn't blackface.
I don't know, maybe this is just my opinion. I don't know. I feel like maybe we could be investing some energy into homelessness. I feel like that's a pretty pressing issue. I don't know. What about foreign policy? No? No. What about like the two-party electoral system? What about the housing crisis? Minimum wage? AI? No? Oh, okay, we're going to focus on trans people.
it's woman face. Blackface, not allowed. Yell at those little trick-or-treaters when they're dressed up as Pocahontas. Yeah, this 4-year-old can get it. But woman face, guy dressing up as a girl and playing out a stereotype of what it means to be a girl or a woman.
So I think that you may have something confused here. I don't know if you have many trans friends or many queer friends, Candace. I think what you're describing is drag. Trans people and drag are two different worlds, honey. Dude, like,
And we're just like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. In fact, if you don't like it, you are transphobic. If you don't like being made fun of, you are transphobic. So there are a lot of things that are wrong with Dylan Mulvaney, but my biggest issue with Dylan Mulvaney is the fact that despite being nearly 30 years old, Dylan Mulvaney wants people to believe that, oh, I'm a girl. I'm a girl. Not a woman, a girl.
So what Candace is trying to push right now with this girl narrative is a narrative that's been pushed against queer people for decades. And it's in regards to queer people being pedophiles, and essentially pushing this pedophilic narrative. I'm pretty sure that when Dylan started her girl video compilation, she probably had no expectation that it would blow up the way that it has and cause the absolute crazy discourse that it has. But here we are, and guess what? She's running with it because it's a marketable name. And it's the same reason why you're doing this video, Candace, because this is what's going to get you views. So how can you criticize Dylan when you're doing the same thing? You're crazy for that. You're out of pocket for that. You're doing the same game that she's doing because guess what? This is the only thing that's going to be bringing your channel views. When I looked up Dylan's music video, your video was one of the top things to pop up, and it's bringing your channel views. That's the only reason you're talking about this. Can you just say it like it is?
An adult biological man cosplaying as a little girl. Tons of things wrong with that. I have been saying.
So she's literally not doing that. First of all, that is false. I think what Dylan is trying to process is transitioning from a man to a woman at 30. She's trying to learn womanhood at the age of 30, and she's trying to process the absolute insanity of that. She's trying to process finally accepting herself for who she is, coming to terms with that, and trying to do all that at 30. Could you imagine if you had to do that? That would suck. You know what I mean? Like outside of the absolute insane publicity that Dylan has received. That would suck, having to completely reframe your identity of yourself at 30. I think we can all agree on that. That's supposed to happen at my age, at 22. You know what I mean? Girl, come on now. Do I have to remind you that she's a human? Of course, you already know that, though. You're just a talking head, and you're just doing this video for views.
Tons of things wrong with that. I have been saying to people for a very long time, it is very clear what they want to bring down the pipeline and what they're trying to make us comfortable with.
Who is they? Who is they? You see, whenever I watch conservative commentators, and this happens on the left too, they always generalize. They want this. The deep state wants this. The right wants this. The conservatives want this. The left wants this. Who is they? Because the conservatives that I talk to, and the left wingers that I talk to, which I guess I'm technically a part of, they're not pushing these narratives. People just want to exist. Most people I know are so focused on just trying to pay their rent that they're not even thinking about things like this. They don't have the time to. They're just trying to survive. Who is they? Genuine question. Because trans people have been trying to get rights for over 40 years. It 50, 60, 100, who knows how long. It's been a while. It's just like gay people. And like, I don't think people understand the amount of work that trans people have put in just to simply be recognized even by the left here in America or even in the world. Like, it's crazy to me how these narratives are pushed, and it's like, oh, the left wants this, the right wants it. No, that's an oversimplification. I think what trans people want, just like gay people, just like black people, just like Native American people, just like literally any minority ever, is just to be left to do their thing in peace. But y'all aren't letting them do that. Oh my God.
So Dylan Mulvaney released a music video. Now, Dylan Mulvaney doing music makes sense. Dylan has a background in Broadway, but this isn't Broadway. This is a different kind of place, playing girlhood. Actually, that is what the song is called. It's called Days of Girlhood. And I'm just going to go ahead and let you listen to this part of it.
So what's up with that body language, Candace? I'm just like, it's so interesting watching commentators because it's like, as you're discussing it, you're getting physically disgusted and you're already setting up your viewers to feel that way by just appearing that way. It seems like you're almost trying to help them form a bias before they've even seen the video itself. And not only that, I will bet money right now that the clip you're about to show is clipped, and it is probably the clip that will make Dylan look the worst. Because all you're trying to do is garner views. Side note, the outfit is atrocious. I really suggest you get somebody else to do your outfits. Because, like, I understand you're conservative or whatever, Candace, but, like, that color is not doing you justice. Anyways.
Monday can't get out of bed. Tuesday morning pick up meds. Wednesday retail therapy. Cash or credit, I say yes. Thursday had a walk of shame. Didn't even know his name.
Just want to say shame on Heather Dubrow, who is playing, it's a housewife of, I think, Beverly Hills, who's playing Dylan's mother in that video, because Heather Dubrow also has children who she believes to be trans.
I was right, first of all. Yeah, she used the worst clip, like the clip that would make Dylan look the quote-unquote craziest in front of conservatives. Again, if there's any like conservatives watching this video, or like really anybody on any side of the political spectrum, like, I hope that if you take anything away from this video, it's that you begin to watch the content you're consuming more critically. There is a reason that this topic is being talked about, that she's talking about it in the way that she's talking about it, that the information she's giving to you, there's a reason that that information is being presented to you in that way. It's to present a narrative. And the same thing could even be said about this video you're watching right now. The things that I'm talking about. Like, watch things critically. In
case you missed that chorus, I'm going to read it to you here. Monday, can't get out of bed. Tuesday morning, pick up meds. Wednesday, retail therapy. Cash or credit, I say yes. Thursday, had a walk of shame. Didn't even know his name. So the stereotype of what it means to be a woman in woman face is...
Did you just say woman face? Yeah, that's a new one. I'll have to give it to you, Candace. Like, god damn, that's brutal. That's brutal as fuck. Oh my god. Like, I like how she brings in like this little roast like there, and she drops it as casually as she just keeps presenting, and she's like, so this is what a woman means in woman face. Wow. I would hate to be your friend. I feel like you'd be such a snake.
women just don't want to get out of bed, but fortunately they're able to pick up their meds to make them happy. I don't know what kind of meds we're picking up. Maybe it's depression meds.
So you're inferring a lot here. For some reason, it really shows that you don't know a lot about trans people. I would be willing to bet money that Dylan probably meant like her estrogen. You know what I mean? Again, that is my interpretation. But see how I'm clarifying that's my interpretation? So I'm not like projecting my opinion onto the audience, or at least doing my best not to.
But it's cool because by Wednesday we go shopping and we're back, and yay, we're very excited. And we say cash or credit, it doesn't matter, just take our money. Just take our money, guys. Please just take our money. We just love to shop until we drop. And by Thursday, we're just having sex with random people. And we're walk of shaming it. So we're just wearing an outfit from the night before, and we're leaving some guy's house. So what we have here is, again, a biological, nearly 30-year-old male that identifies as a little girl, wants you to use the pronouns she or they.
So again, pay attention to the verbiage. She's pushing this narrative of Dylan wanting to be a little girl to push this narrative of pedophilia against trans people. I mean, I think it's absolutely abhorrent. The question that I have to Candace and to any conservatives like watching this is, have you ever actually like had a conversation with a trans person? Have you ever actually gotten to know a trans person? Chances are, there's a lot of trans people I know who don't even tell people that they're trans because of discourse like this. Maybe you know a trans person and you don't even know it because of discourse like this. I find it crazy, but like Candace, you know, if you're watching this video, or any supporters of Candace, like, just put yourself, like, do me a favor, put yourself in Dylan's shoes. Imagine being called a pedophile by hundreds of thousands of people, or at least it being like insinuated. That would suck, right? Like, how would you respond to that, Candace? You know, a genuine question. Like, oh my God, this fly, bro. I'm gonna get this fly. Sorry, guys, I don't have a professional studio. This is literally my apartment. I don't know where it went. I don't know where the fly went. I don't know where I was going with that. I forgot my train of thought, but it'll come back to me.
And what is they doing in this video? Encouraging little girls to live this sort of a life, to think it's funny, to think it's cute.
I really don't think that Dylan was trying to encourage that in any way. It sounded to me as a musician that Dylan was trying to process her experience as a trans person. And I feel like I can speak on this because I'm actually a musician, Candace. Art is processing. That is what art is for many, many musicians and artists. I would argue most of them. It is a form of processing trauma. And that is what this song sounds like to me. But you're pushing this narrative that she's trying to indoctrinate people. That, oh my God, the trans narrative. Do you want to know what the trans narrative is, Candace? To be treated like a normal person. To be able to walk around and not have to worry about being hate crimed. That is the trans narrative. I feel like you, as a black person, should be able to understand that. It's crazy. You don't want to be hate crimed. I don't think anybody wants to be hate crimed. I don't think anybody deserves to be hate crimed. And that goes for white people as well. So what I don't understand is your complete lack of empathy for trans people. And I find it abhorrent and disgusting. And I find it even more abhorrent and disgusting that you are pushing this narrative of trans people being pedophiles simply because it's the only thing that will help garner your channel views and followers.
And to think it's, just what it means to be a girl, obviously. We're financially irresponsible. We don't want to get out of bed.
That's literally not what she's saying in the lyrics, though. If you go to the lyrics, like, again, it's Dylan processing being a trans girl. though I can tell, obviously. Maybe you didn't even watch the video. You were just given this script. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you didn't see this video at all. This was written for you, and I don't know who wrote this, but I'm gonna assume that somebody gave this to you and you're just reading this out. Like, please, look into the lyrics. Like before you discriminate a song or anything like really look into the lyrics. Like this discourse is reminding me of the discourse that Nirvana experienced when they released the song "Rape Me," which is an anti-rape song, but the media just ran with it and tried to slander Nirvana because the song was about rape. It's an anti-rape song if you really look at the lyrics and you listen to Kurt Cobain's interviews. But again, you're a talking head and you're trying to push a narrative, so I wouldn't expect you to be able to actually have the thought process to do that. Maybe you do. No, I think you do, actually, Candace. I think you're a very intelligent person, and I think everything that you do in your videos, it seems, is very intentional. So I'm sorry. I don't want to call you stupid. But what I will say is that you're pushing a very ignorant, very, very ignorant narrative. And it's really sad to see such an intelligent woman pushing such an ignorant narrative.
We pop pills, and if you have a problem with what Dylan is doing, let me remind you, you're a transphobe. So if you're a woman and you just watch that and you're offended by that stereotype, it's because you're a transphobe.
So I'm just going to say this right now. Again, I can obviously tell that you don't have many trans friends, or maybe if you do, they lean very conservative. You're not a transphobe for disagreeing with how Dylan Mulvaney is processing her womanhood. What makes you a transphobe is actively hating against trans people. And hating trans people for being trans. What Candace is trying to push right now is this narrative of the woke left being easily triggered. And again, I find it abhorrent and sad and disturbing, and yeah.
But that's not it. It gets even more interesting. Here is another part of the video. Take a listen.
Boys on the dance floor, it's time to clear. The patriarchy's over, you can hold our beer. Back at home, we replay the breakup. Stay up all night, fall asleep in our makeup.
Oh, amazing. Guys, the patriarchy is over. That is so great. It is so great when a biological male who identifies as a little girl steps out and says that the patriarchy is over.
So there it is again. Candace is again pushing this narrative of Dylan Mulvaney being a little girl. There it is, the pedophilic narrative. It's very subtle the way that Candace is doing this, and that is why I call her an intelligent person, because it's a very subtle way to push a narrative, and it's a lot of what these conservative commentators do is they push racist, they push homophobic, they push transphobic, sexist narratives so under the radar that you won't really detect it unless you're consciously looking out for it.
Because, if I believed in the patriarchy, and I don't actually, because everywhere around us is the circumstance of women in charge, right? It's not men that are supporting transgenderism, it's women. It's women like Lady Gaga who are calling other women hateful if they're not okay with transgenderism. We saw how men feel about it. Bud Light. Goodbye, Bud Light, instantly, overnight.
Transgenderism. What a term. And you see, that's just another way that Candace is dehumanizing trans people by essentially making transgender people seem detached from humanity. It's a way. There it is. There's the fly. Did I get it? Where'd it go? I hit it. It's a way to dehumanize trans people. And it's a way to essentially invalidate their experience and make them subhuman by using dehumanizing words like transgenderism.
as soon as transgenderism traversed into a male space. But women love this. They are shaming other women for not embracing this. So if the patriarchy existed, by the way, there would be no transgenderism. Let's be very clear, we're living under a matriarchy.
If the patriarchy existed, there would be no transgenderism. You know that trans men exist, right? The patriarchy existed, there would be no Candace, the patriarchy does exist. I feel like it's like this buzzword. You know what I mean? Like people don't fully understand what the patriarchy means, and it's just like a buzzword now. So interesting. Yeah, this is the first time I've watched conservative content in at least 5 years. I stopped watching conservative content because I found it to be quite extreme. And this has just proven me right.
But if I believed in the patriarchy, I would imagine that a man declaring that the patriarchy is over would not be acceptable. I'm imagining this, like in a circumstance that like a bunch of people would say this is utterly ridiculous. Men should not be speaking up for women. But as I said, we live in a different world. We are existing under a matriarchy, and we are supposed to accept the idea that men are everywhere, beware the patriarchy, except when it's potentially actually here, and you have biological males that are playing dress up, demanding that you call yourselves.
Hold on, I need to like rewatch this part because I feel like she's just yapping, and I feel like she doesn't even fully understand what she's talking about. Hold on, like I'm trying to understand your point here, Candace. Like you're really doing a stretch with this whole patriarchy thing. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't really know what you're talking about here. Let's rewind. So it really just seems like she's trying to strawman this argument to invalidate Dylan's lyric about the patriarchy being over. Like I can probably tell you that lyric probably isn't that deep, and obviously the patriarchy isn't over. I mean, it'd be nice if it was over, to be completely honest. I'm confused as to what you're trying to say here. Hold on, let's...
You have biological males that are playing dress up, demanding that you call yourselves cisgender so that you don't acknowledge your unique womanhood.
No trans person... What? So no trans people are really pushing this narrative, except for maybe some extremists. Trans people are not trying to invalidate cis woman's womanhood. I think that, again, to go back to the point that I made earlier, trans people are just trying to exist, Candace. Like, it's not about invalidating cis people. It's not about... It's not about that at all. It's just about having the right to exist, I think.
And on top of that, they are now dropping videos encouraging young girls not to live a life that I would describe as moral.
Not to live a life that you would describe as moral. So now you're judging other women for the way that they choose to live their lives because it doesn't fit your sense of morality? What does this have to do with trans people?
And on top of that, they're stereotyping what it means to be a woman with lyrics like this. Boys on the dance floor, it's finally clear. The patriarchy's over. You can hold our beer.
Have you been to any bar, Candace? Have you been out to like a bar? Like, genuine question, because the way that men treat women in bars is disgusting. And men actually do this and still do this. Like, there's a reason that all the women flock to gay bars nowadays. There's a reason that the gay bars are being taken over by straight women. It's because straight women are tired of straight men's...
Back at home, we replay the breakup, stay up all night, fall asleep in our makeup. Yay for girlhood.
Well, I think that Dylan brings a really good point here. A lot of womanhood revolves around the patriarchy and revolves around men, sadly, because that's just the way our society is designed at the moment. It's terrible. That's not how society should be at all. And I don't understand how those lyrics in Dylan's song are wrong. If anything, they're bringing light to how terrible it is to be a woman. A lot of times. Like,
Yay for what it means to be a woman. And I would argue that no woman that is Dylan Mulvaney's age acts like that.
I would argue the exact opposite. I would argue that right now there are a lot of single millennial women who are acting exactly the way that Dylan is acting. And as well, Candace, we have to remember Dylan just came out as trans. So Dylan is trying to make up for lost time. She's only been a woman for 2 years. And I think that that's a really hard concept for a lot of straight people to understand, is that when a queer person comes out, it's essentially like they're stepping into their true skin for their first time. It's why in gay culture, bar culture is such a huge thing, and you see men in their 40s and 50s still, in 60s and even 70s still going out because they've only been able to live their authentic selves for the last 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year. And they're trying to live and regain their youth that they lost because they were in the closet. I don't think straight people understand that. When queer people come out, they're trying to regain their lost youth. That's what they're trying to do. It's heartbreaking. We live in a society that, at the moment, it's not safe for a lot of people to come out, and when they finally do, they want to live their youth. There's a lot of issues in the gay community because of this. A lot of queer people carry a lot of trauma because they were not able to live their truth when they were younger. So they're essentially trying to relive their youth at the current age that they're at. So what you end up with is a lot of gay men, a lot of queer people who are essentially emotionally stunted because they had to hide part of themselves for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. Think about that for a sec, Candace. Like, think about how hard that is. It's a hard thing for straight people to grasp and to understand. And I understand why it's such a hard thing, because you don't have to do it. You can start dating at 15, 14, 13. You can start talking to boys. You can start to gain a semblance of your own identity. You can start to live your life. For a lot of gay and trans people, this doesn't happen until their late 20s, until they're out of college, because then they can finally have the time to begin to process and understand their identity. Thank God the world is changing. That is changing. So hopefully in another decade and a half, we'll live in a world where queer people are not emotionally stunted anymore. The reason that Dylan is making that music video and doing the things that she's doing now is because we live in an anti-trans world, and this is her way of processing it. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to me.
Cool. Back at home, we replay the breakup, stay up all night, fall asleep in our makeup. Yay for girlhood. Yay for what it means to be a woman. And I would argue that no woman that is Dylan Mulvaney's age acts like that. So I don't know. I don't even know what age group that's supposed to be. Maybe college, early college. Hold our beer, not taking off your makeup at night. Yeah, it sounds like college days. I don't say, guys. Are we? Am I hateful? Is it me?
No, it is you, Candace. I'm surprised by your lack of empathy and your sense of superiority that you display throughout this entire video. I would love for a conservative commentator to actually become educated on the experience of a queer person, and then for them to be able for them to comment. on these subjects, because the complexity of being a queer person in today's society is still understated. It's something of a hot button topic, and yes, gay people have rights now, but there's still decades upon decades of trauma that still need to be unpacked. And I would hope that you, Candace, as a black person, would understand that, seeing as black people only gained the right to vote like 50 years ago, and slavery only ended like 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago. Slavery still holds an impact on the way that black people navigate the world. It's the same thing for gay people, in the sense that gay people only recently gained rights to be gay.
Is it me, or what we have happening actually throughout society is madness? Absolute madness. And as a woman, an actual biological, real woman, I just completely refuse to accept this.
Well, you're entitled to not accept it, Candace. I would like to end my commentary on this video by saying that. But I also hope that you take time to educate yourself a little bit more on the queer experience instead of judging so harshly. I know that you won't. Because it's not going to benefit your business. It's not going to benefit the narrative that you are trying to push to educate yourself on the queer experience. There are several books on this matter. There are still studies coming out about this, because gay people only gained rights back in 2015. That's what I think people forget. Like gay people having rights is still very new. I'm tired of my identity being a political discussion. I'm tired of trans people's identity being something that people use to push a narrative, a political narrative. It's exhausting. I don't exactly enjoy making videos like this. Maybe a little bit. It's kind of fun to rip into conservatives. But as an ex-conservative myself, I understand where Candace is coming from, and I understand where a lot of conservatives are coming from, because we're afraid of what we don't understand, which is why I advocate so heavily for people to take time out of their day to educate themselves. But the reality is, if you are not trans, if you are not queer, if you are not a black person, if you are not a minority, a person of color, you don't have to educate yourself on anything. You can just live your life. Empathy is a choice. And it's a choice that it doesn't seem like Candace is really making, or at least trying to fully understand before commenting on topics like this. Hey guys, if you liked this video, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up or something. I don't know if I'll be making more content like this in the future. I'd like to, though. I will see you somewhere, maybe on your Twitter timeline. Go check out my Twitter. I need money. Being a musician does not pay well.